Hello, people. I might start some laundry, which will be a little bit loud. I don't know. Maybe it won't. We'll find out. Hello. Okay. So maybe we start with another bug fix, or maybe let's do something a little different from that. So we had someone, there is a bug fix I would like to do today before delivering value to the people, but we also have someone who I don't know. Okay, so someone submitted a sample program. Now, on the one hand, oh, it's a zip file and Windows is being weird about it. On the one hand, it's like, oh, it would be cool to look at this on the stream. This would be something that we distribute with the beta, so it would be like, it's not like it's private. But on the other hand, it sounds from the email like he's not necessarily expecting me to distribute this copy, so I don't know if it's okay to like view it on the stream. So I'm not sure. Let's at least compile it and play with it. If we can compile it, so okay, bin. It just worked. So we've got a dude. Escape to toggle camera. What is toggle? I mean, it would be nice to actually, yeah. So WSAD. Oh, that's if the camera's not. I see. Okay. I see. Nearest is okay. Nearest means, I guess this is a very high frame rate animation, because nearest it should look snappy and choppy. Yeah, okay. It totally does. Yeah, see how you, there's basically no visual difference between these two. Okay. I mean, that's probably a decent sample program. I just don't know if I should look at the source code on stream if he doesn't expect. But that'll be nice to distribute to the people, I guess. I mean, okay, here's the thing about it. Not having looked at the source code is, it is cool to see a program that does something useful as a sample program given with the compiler. No doubt. I mean, it uses the getrect stuff here for a serious application as opposed to just the getrect sample program. So that's good. On the other hand, actual skeletal animation is a very domain-specific thing that a lot of people are going to be like, I don't know, right? Maybe that's fine. I don't think the developer is in chat. Yeah, in fact, the language not being weirdly optimized toward writing compilers was a real concern, right? The goal was like, look, no, this has to be good for the kinds of things we want to use it for. Which is why the compiler is still in C++. Anyway, I like the sample program. As a judgment call, I'm not going to look through the source on the stream, even though it's probably fine. Just because I don't want people to feel when they send me stuff that they don't know what's going to happen or whatever. So I will save that for later to do that. We have lots of people to put on the beta. We also have some bugs. This one's a polymorph bug, which is kind of a bummer. We could take a look at it though. We have someone who wants word navigation in the GetRect text input, which I guess we could put in there. Question mark. Okay, let's do the more serious things first. So this one, so I played with this a little bit on my laptop. So we get this thing. And I actually had thought I knew why it was wrong, but I actually don't know now. So we're going to need to look at it again. But this guy said, oh, this is the most minimal that the program could be. I don't think that's true. Because like I'm pretty sure I was able to delete this, right, and it still happens. I actually wonder, can I take this out? Like just cutting a program down to the simplest thing is useful because the compiler's doing less. And I don't know, and like you just get an idea. Now, that said, you never know, this might affect something. Alright, we could even do this probably. It still happens. Like, it's kind of instructive sometimes, like, what's really the smallest program that generates a bug? Okay. So it's weird because our polymorph system really should handle all this stuff, actually. Now, the thing is, if I take the $sign off here, now we get the actual problem. The problem is the program is wrong. You know, it's passing. So we have this thing that takes trade mod parameters, right? And we're trying to pass it in to something that takes mod data parameters. Because you know, that's what T and T2 solve to when you give it this. So the question is, why does this $sign cause us to freak out? And I believe if I run the debug compiler, it's even. Okay, let's run debug compiler without the $sign. So that's fine. Let's run it with the $sign. Okay, so there we hit an assertion. But it's an assertion in reporting errors, which isn't that helpful. Or maybe it is. Oh no, it is, because Okay. This is one of the worst parts of the compiler code, by the way. So I've had a number of bugs just in this part. The idea is, we try to solve for a procedure call. If it's not valid in some way, okay, we try to solve for a procedure call. And we end up just returning false if it doesn't work or something, right? Now, if you have a bunch of overloads, if one procedure call doesn't work, the other ones might, so it's fine. But if you're out of overloads or something and none of them work, then you need to tell the user why they don't work. And so what we do for that, what I do, because it's my fault, is I sort of just call back the same code and with a variable that says, actually report errors instead of just returning false, right? Because there's a bunch of different ways, reasons why things might work. There's different conditions, and it's pretty easy for those various pieces of code to just, like let's look at an example. So for polymorphing, so there's a number of reasons why a procedure call might not work, and polymorphing is one of them, right? So let me find. Whoops. I'm searching for the wrong thing. Return false. I'm just looking for a good example. See, these are a little bit abstruse. They're returning false because other things failed. I'm looking for something that returns false. And also sometimes we yield by returning false. Okay, I think all the actual errors are reported outside this file. But the point being, for example, you have a type mismatch between two arguments, right? You could either just return false silently, or you could send a message that says, type mismatch error. So what we do is we do the fast thing where we don't generate the message, and also, you don't want the user to see the message. And then we call it back later. And the problem is, the way I call it back is I sort of just kind of set the state struct that's used, because procedure call resolution is actually quite complex. And I kind of reset the state, but I'm doing it manually, and it's quite easy to make a mistake or just kind of do something wrong. So it's quite possible that's what's going on. Let's just run it in the debugger. Let me build that. So, if I just run this from the debugger. So this is kind of this state resetting that I'm talking about. It clearly looks very ugly. And then we came back in here and we yielded for some reason. And the theory is we shouldn't have to handle a yield here, because usually the reason we yield is because some type isn't ready or whatever, right? But types should all be ready because we needed to have all the types be ready to do the match the first time. So like, what is literally even happening? I don't know. So we're going to break here and run it again. We're going to set a data breakpoint and just see who sets this. Look at all these old ass breakpoints. 7 CBD E98. Cool. Let's remove some old ass breakpoints. Okay. So, bakes that need checking. I think we always yield now on bakes. Is that true? Yeah, it's like we always yield. So I think I just want to say, so silent check is this thing that I was talking about whether we're doing error messages or not. So we're going to need to explain that. Okay, that's... Oh, wait, and silent check. Lol. I was like, wait, now we just didn't do the type check and the program compiled. Unresolved what? Come on, man. Is bakes that need checking? No, that's local. See? Like, this is really freaking annoying. So A, I don't know why this doesn't fix the problem, but B, I'm not sure that we can fix the problem this way. Ultimately, because if we do, maybe we remove the ability to detect certain kinds of bugs. That would be bad. That would be very bad. I'm probably not going to do the special thing today. We'll see. I changed my mind. I mean, not that debugging this bug isn't special. I mean, come on. It's pretty special. Yeah, last night we started working on the special thing, And I realized I just wanted to think about it a little bit more before doing it. So it might be next weekend. Something like that. I don't know. Okay. So what is happening here is the following. When you have bakes, which is like when we had that dollar sign on the argument, I will show. When we have bakes like this, you of course want to type check those and make sure they're correct. And the way that we do this here, because those type checks could be complex and they might want to yield and whatever, we sort of queue them up and let them happen maybe synchronously, maybe asynchronously, nobody knows. And I guess it actually works fine. One dilemma that I had in my head is I don't remember how we tell it that this should be a silent check that we don't error on. But I guess we do that. Okay. Well, oh look, the jackass stuff is already in here. Oh, I removed my other breakpoint. So I mean, we could just handle the frickin' yield here. thing is, I don't actually know. I don't actually know. Wait, what? Oh, so now we aren't yielding anymore, but we're not reporting an error. The reason we're not reporting an error is because we disabled the part where we report the error. That's why I was confused. Yes. So the problem is this part. This is the part that generates the actual error. And so the problem is the way this is implemented, we need to yield. And so we're going to implement yielding for error reporting. Is what we actually have to do. Because this assert that we're not yielding thing that we had is really just me being lazy and saying, well, we shouldn't need to. Okay, how do we get there? Because this is annoying. Okay, so if the overload cursor, we maintain all this state that's reentrant so that, you know, we can stop and come back on the procedure call. We pile up matches, and so we would get here. Okay. This annoys me. It annoys me a lot, but I also kind of feel like an adult because I'm doing this. All right. dude. I don't even know what language I'm in anymore. Oh man, I thought there was only one call to report procedure call errors. I almost want to make this its own separate fucking thing. Kids these days. Okay. So now I'm super annoyed because the problem is, let's go look at this other call site. See, this one also needs to re-enter now. And this is from a place that we really don't want to do that. It's like a large amount of annoyance. So I'm in this position where the lazy bones thing would be to just keep doing what I'm doing. It's kind of straightforward, but then we'll only solve this problem in one place instead of both. And we're just kicking the can down the road with regard to compiler robustness. Now that said, kicking the can down the road is underrated. It is a valid tactic sometimes. Because at least we get rid of part of the problems that people are actually experiencing. Their lived experience becomes better, you know. But I kind of would rather really fix it everywhere for real. And I'm not sure that I really like any of my options here. The problem is this is just down in a bunch of code that I don't want to complicate. Like reporting undeclared identifier becoming reentrant is kind of a mess. For a number of reasons. Like, so all this stuff that we do about type inference and all that, it's got all sorts of short circuits everywhere where it shuts itself off and gives up if we've reported an error message. Because when you report an error message, just don't keep compiling. That's been the philosophy. So like if we do this, we report an error message, and then we expect to keep inferring stuff so that we can report the actual error. That is not very good. We could hard code reported error to false. I mean, yeah. But then we still have to make this big mess with all this code. I don't love it. I don't love it. Okay. Instead of making report procedure call errors reentrant, we could do a different thing that is gross and has a significant probability of introducing a different problem later. But I don't actually know that it will, and so it may be worth trying. Let's try that. So I'm going to put a no check in on this because I'm like, actually, maybe we won't use this. So I'll remember to delete it. Oh man, this is going to be gross. Remove the argument. What we're going to do instead is down here where we assert not yield upon. We're instead going to be like Captain Picard and take action. We're going to do the following. Okay. Just do that for now. Okay. Well, now we just completely crash. Awesome. So we go here, we yield upon. Oh, now we're recursing. didn't... Okay, hold on. I thought the whole reason we got a yield was because we pushed things. So it's 4. Now it's 5. And then we get back here and it's 4. And here's the output window, I guess. We have not reported an error. Which seems very bad. Also, yeah, no, this is badge. So that is supposedly one of the bakes that need checking that gets put on the stack, right? So if this is the thing made a year ago, okay. So we push type instantiations. Okay. So those get inferred. That's fine. The problem is, then we need to call this back. But wait, that should be fine. That should have reported an error. But we yielded again. We remade I mean, so what happened, the reason we crashed is we get a stack overflow because we keep recursing down into here eventually. So doesn't this get set to, oh no, because we reset it when we get to error reports. That's what's happening. Okay, this is fucking gross. We're gonna do a compromise solution between the two things. So here, There are a lot of things I don't like about what's happening right now. So what I'm about to do is the following. So, before you noticed I was putting in the header file like some enums for what state we're in for error reporting. We could do that, but we just say, look, there's only one thing we really need to know, which is if we already did the setup or not. If we already did the setup, then when we're coming back, we just need to call this thing again. It's just this recursion is messy and it's going to cause a problem, is what I'm worrying about. Well, I'm just flashing through my mind are various ways of handling this, and I really don't love any of them. This is one of those things where you kind of want to restructure all the code in the long term to be better. I don't really know what better is right now is the problem. And anyway, I don't want to do anything massively destabilizing right now because we'd like to deliver value to the people today. But this piece of code was always I don't know how to describe it. It was just, it was never like a good piece of code. It was just a thing that we did that wasn't so bad as to be horrible. And now it's getting worse. Basically, to handle this issue, now it's getting worse. And what do we do about that? Do we let it get worse? Maybe. So there's all sorts of things going on here. So let me tell you some more of the background of what's going through my head. This recursion thing is not good because we come back here and whatever. But in the current system, what I could do is make a utility node. Like, I can record where we were on the stack before we did any of this. And I could make a new node on the stack that acts as just kind of like a command buffer command that says, okay, when you get here, go back to this thing where you make polymorph from procedure call again. In fact, this would actually be an interesting small step in compiler structure. Is I could make one of those that actually just has a callback function on it, which is also kind of scary in a certain way, but that could be fine, right? So we put the callback. And then that gets us to call this again. Now, the reason I a little bit don't want to do that is it's a little bit gross because we have to insert it into the middle of the stack. And I could make a mistake doing that because we don't have code for that. Also, the way this expression stack works, we did this conversion partially on stream, I think. I thought it was going to be awesome, but I'm pretty sure it actually just slowed the compiler down by like 30%. Like the compiler is way slower than it was before I did this. And I'm not sure if it's due to the way the expression stack works now or like some pathological mistake. But something I also need to do in the future, therefore, in the near future, is change it all back to the way it used to work before or something a little bit better than that. Maybe via an ifdef, maybe I can make it so we can toggle both for a little while before that code rots and do a speed comparison to see if that's the difference. And the more things I do that depend exactly on the stack, the worse. But again, maybe that's just what I signed up for. So I think this is my best idea of what to do. I think, so we already have this thing called ast utility, which is something that we could put on the stack to do various stuff. And I can make one that's a callback just to do it, just for giggles. So then we call the callback. That said, I don't know. Let's not do the callback. That's a little too dope smoking. We could just leave it in enum. And that can just then do this thing. Yeah. So what we could do is the following. Do I have an array insert? I don't think I do. Like, I array insert so infrequently. Insert at, oh crap. We could actually just do it. Oh my God, okay. Okay, oh, this has become easy now. Okay, so we're gonna go auto nodes before is queued stack.count. Let's say stack count. This is how tall it is. All right, so if we yielded, we're still gonna have to explain this. We're not gonna do this though. We are gonna go see, all this stuff. See, this is gonna fire. It's like we almost need to put this I got confused stuff into a callback. And also these like print statements, like, Now it's like all this stuff. Programs are annoying. Programs are annoying. Well, hello, people who are showing up on the raiding party. How are you doing? How are you doing? We are having a problem, by which I mean I am having a problem. Like, I could do all this stuff down here. All this reporting and overload format stuff. Again, with some kind of weird utility callback. I really don't like that, though. I hope it's exciting watching me stare at the screen when you can't even see me. Just imagine me staring at the screen. Just imagine. So there's two things I don't like, right? One is this stuff, which, like, look, a program, you know, you kind of want to loop over a thing and do stuff. And if we make this a totally crazy asynchronous whatever thing, we can't just loop and do stuff like this. It becomes a much more complicated situation where we're sort of setting up things that maybe will be handled later by some other code. And it becomes much harder to think about and debug. And the reason I don't want to sit there and do that is because progress on this compiler is limited by the complexity of the compiler. And so making something like this that ideally would be simple, more complex, is not my bag at all. like if this were a very core thing of the compiler that gives people a lot of power, I would be more into it. But this is like a relatively rare case that sometimes happens during error reporting. Like we just don't want to make things crazy complicated for that. So I'm just trying to figure out how to do this robustly without making it crazy complicated and without causing other problems. So for example, this recursion thing here, wherever that was, this is really gross because it ends up recursing back down to us. Why? Because this function wants to infer the whole stack down to 0. We could add a parameter to it that says only infer it as far as, as far as whatever this stack count before, and then return back to us. And then we would get rid of that recursion, and that would be great. The problem is I don't want to add that parameter because this is already too goddamn slow. Now, if this were a programming language like ours and not C++, we could actually add that parameter without fear of a performance repercussion, because we could say, hey, if this was passed, right, it has to be, we could say the following. It could default to like -1, right? And then we say if it's constant and we know it's -1, just don't do the extra check, right? So you could compile time if that out. You can't do that in C++. So we would have to make that function slower or copy pasta it onto another function. And that is a big complicated function, so we don't want to do that, right? So this is a place where Bjarne Strostrup is making our program slow if we do this. So I don't want to do that. So if we come to report procedure call errors, we do know that we must report a procedure call by the time we're done. So we could, I don't mind too much pushing a utility node that says we must have reported an error by now, right? I mean, that's a little bit complicated, but maybe not that bad. And that would prevent this recursion from coming back to us, because we could push it early on this function. The thing is, if we do that, we need another utility node for the dude. And then if we do that, we still kind of can't do this. We could put that at the calling site. The problem is there are 2 calling sites. Is this even in the wrong place? No, because that's an open brace. I kind of don't know why that open brace is there. Let's just lighten the load here for a second. Anyway, I don't love this. No, I'm not even tackling the tricky polymorphism issue. This is like a more pedestrian polymorphism issue that's in the bug reports from the past couple weeks. and it's a pain. It is very annoying to fix, and it may cause the compiler to get more complicated. That's what I'm trying to avoid. And this is only a problem in reporting errors with procedures that we already have type checked. So like, yeah, it's... Okay, you know what? My temptation is to spin all this out as utility nodes, which is gross. But it lets us... I don't know. Actually... yeah, this may be fine. It's kind of stupid. So the way to keep this kind of simple is the following. This whole loop here that does all this stuff, we just do exactly... actually, this part is not even what we're worried about. Or no, sorry. This part, we ignore this part. That's a whole different thing. But this part where we loop over all the overloads and we do this check. Here we reset the overload progress state, right? We sort the arguments, and instead of doing this... no, see, this doesn't work, right? I was going to say we only need to do something special here, but that's not true because of all this error reporting down here. This stuff. Like, we can't return from this function and then just, like, do that, because that'll mess up the output. So, like, what we have to do is anytime we enter this function, we need to push a utility node that says do this stuff. And then we need to push a utility node that says one for each of these overloads that says check the overload. And I hate everything about this. I actually don't hate it because in some sense it's just well ordered and nice, but like just code in a loop in a function is well ordered and nice too, and you don't have to like connect all this structure up in your head. Reporting a type in type mismatch is only as $? No, that's probably not an error. Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. If you know what the error message was supposed to be, then it's an error. But sometimes we print $, and it's correct. Anyway, so I can fix this bug. That's not a problem. The problem is, how much damage do we do to the compiler by fixing the bug? I'm not happy about that. And maybe it's not... okay, so here's another thing. Is that ultimately we want to parallelize the compiler better. And so you might imagine restructuring things to be good if it was helping achieve that goal. But like, I don't think this helps us parallelize at all. It's just error reporting. By the time you hit error reporting, you don't care how fast things are going. Or I don't. All right, I'm going to grab some tea water and we're going to get some caffeine going. And it's going to give me a moment to pause in my thought about this problem, and then we'll come back to it. And yeah. So, okay, another thing to think about before I do that is like all this overload format report. Okay, broadly speaking, when it comes to error reporting in the compiler, I've had vague thoughts about switching how all it works to a system where you kind of buffer the errors instead of printing them directly, and then they get printed at the end. And the reason to do that is because, you know, maybe you want, for example, to call a function, you don't expect it to error, but if it does, the calling site has more context that would be relevant to the error message. And sometimes it's better if you say that first rather than print the error and then at the bottom of the error print, and by the way, this happened because blah, 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 because that's just how your code happened to work when you returned from the thing, right? So instead of doing that, you could say, oh, we reported an error. Let's go into the error buffer and at the front of it say, you know, while we were doing the following thing, this happened. Like, I think that probably in a lot of cases produces more understandable error messages. And then maybe doing something. So this overload format thing is a way of making error messages more compact when you're reporting a bunch of function overloads. It still doesn't totally work. There's still weird bugs in it. And the reason it's buggy is because we just like set some global and then we hope that people who are reporting errors, you know, cohere to that. But if we did it differently, if we had buffered up error messages, then you could do a post pass like over the buffer and put them in compact form, right? Or this reporting in overload format would just be like a flag on the error buffer. I don't know. Anyway, this is also, though, not necessarily something I want to do right now, because I'd rather just solve the bug. But sometimes these things push you to improve other things. Yeah. Okay. Let me get some caffeine water. Are there any other questions about what we're doing for people who have been like watching it long? I mean, not like we've been doing much. I've been looking at code and talking about how I don't like it. Any questions about that? golden monkey with honey and milk because I need it, and I'm about to get on a plane where I won't have the golden monkey with me. When I was removing the import string from default metaprogram, I looked a bit frustrated that I was discovering more and more undefined functions. I don't know what undefined function means. Ooh, buffering the error message. Oh, I understand. Not exactly. So the general issue about type checking in programming languages generally is that like in order to give people an intelligible error message, you need to have a good idea about what you're actually type checking, right? And if you get an error and stuff, you don't want to then continue and assume you know what the types of things are and then report a bunch of junk errors, right? That's what C++ and C compilers do, and it's horrible, right? Now, that said, if you can intelligently report more than one error at a time, you should. And we don't, because the way that we make sure that we stop after finding an error is that we just flag the compiler to stop. And you could imagine a more sophisticated thing to do that I didn't want to do early in the lifetime of the compiler because it was like I was still figuring out how things go and stuff. But now maybe it makes sense to do this is just we have different compilation units, and individual compilation units might stop and report errors. And like if you're in a body of a function and you get a type error, you probably don't want to keep going in the function. I mean, you could, but there's relatively low utility to that. And like you would have to just fill your code full of all sorts of stuff. It would make the compiler more brittle. On the other hand, you could do other function bodies that don't depend on that function body, and that's fine. And, it's probably on the list pretty soon to try an approach like that out and just see how it goes. However, it's just there's enough to think about right now that I just haven't done it. Am I planning on doing another compiler demo? No. Because, again, people just use those to copy my stuff with low quality. I don't mean most people. I mean a couple of bad actors on the internet. So I just don't do demos anymore. Because it just gives people ammo to fight me, and I don't understand why I would do that. All right. I'm going to get some milk. I'll be back. Any more questions are appreciated. If you don't like that answer, you just got to keep in mind I've had some bad experiences with just people treating me badly with regard to the compiler, including things that are not known by the public. So it's just like, why contribute to that whole mess, you know? It's not about commenters on Hacker News, no. No, no. Okay, I'm gonna put the golden MPT in the basket so that it doesn't get the hose again. Sorry for the delay. Sometimes we have to put the laundry in the dryer or we get the hose again, and that's not good. If sharing content is giving people ammo, then YouTube should not exist. No, I mean, look, you're free to make your own programming language and approach it however you want, right? It's like there are just tactical realities in the world that you need to pay attention to. That's just a thing. Like, I would prefer if I could just tell everybody everything about everything we're doing all the time, but it just makes it too easy for some people. So I don't know what else to say, man. Like, the success or failure of this project is influenced non-negligibly by that, and I wish it weren't so, but it is. I seem to be able to maintain a good level of productivity when I move places. I don't know. I like to be out in different places working, so it's not a big problem for me. I don't know what to say. I mean, sometimes it gets a little bit annoying, but like I was at a coffee shop yesterday or the day before, and it was just kind of I don't know, like a lot of little things were adding up to where it was uncomfortable, but I just moved and went somewhere else, right? But the thing is, if you really want to get work done, you will, even in bad conditions, right? No, it's easy to say that when you have no skin in the game is exactly the right thing to say. Like, look, it's very easy to have opinions about something when those opinions cost you nothing. Look, I started working on this programming language in 2014. I've been working on it for almost 8 years. If you have never put 8 years of your life into anything, you have no idea what it is like. Okay? Do not do not presume to look morally down your nose at somebody's decision-making calculus when you haven't done a similar thing. Like, look, I know you want things for free, and that's great, and I like giving people things for free sometimes. But like, just don't complain to people when they work hard on something for 8 years and then just don't give you everything for free. Like, that attitude just isn't helpful in the world, right? The processes in your head constantly. I mean, I understand that. Like, sometimes things are just really distracting, but what can you do but just choose to not be that distracted? Like, the thing about something like immigration applications and stuff is after you make the application, you can't really do anything to change the result. So why be all torn up over something over which you have no agency, right? But that's a logical statement. That's not really how people's brains work. So I get it. I get it. Anyway, so let's get back to actually thinking about actual. Oh, no, wait. I got to wait for my tea to finish steeping. We're going to make it a little bit strong. Going to make it a little bit strong for a good golden monkey with a good Manuka honey. With a good Manuka honey. So, an alternate way to think about this is that I'm not sure it helps any. But instead of dumping things somewhere and yielding, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do something that's so gross you won't believe. That's what I'm going to do. It's gross, but then it's not gross because it doesn't have this recursion problem and whatever. Okay. Okay. I'm going to bring this back down here. Oh my God, this is so gross. But we can maybe factor it into a mini thing. But again, this is more like stack dependent code, which, like I said, we probably want to get rid of. Infer types queued. All right, so okay. So I'm building out a much simpler version of this like whole function. You're guessing the alternative, continuing to show everything let the bad actors run wild is worse in my estimation than the discomfort expressed from fans not getting language sooner. Okay, here, let me tell you what I really think about all this. I kind of doubt that any of these languages, like, okay, there is some element of different languages competing with each other, and you don't want to give your competition more ability to win. But that's not really what I'm worried about. I'm not that worried about another language winning because I don't think they will. I mean, either they will or they won't. And it won't be based on any of this stuff because, like I said, they're doing, like, you know, the compile time execution stuff we do. Somebody else does a bad version of it and says it's good, but it's still the bad version of it, right? That's one out of many, many areas. So I don't think it affects our ability to compete at all necessarily. What it does is it makes me very unhappy, right? I don't work very hard for 8 years just to let people treat me like shit, right? I deserve better than that. And so why am I going to willingly participate in a process in which people shit on me actively? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not an ingredient for being happy in life. And so, you know, the line must be drawn here is what I'm saying. It's like profoundly disrespectful and horrible. And I'm just not going to participate in it. That's just what it is. And if I become so unhappy with doing this that, like, it becomes, you know, just a negative part of my life, I may stop doing it, and then we don't get this programming language, right? So that just is what it is. Like, why would I participate in this process? All right, I can't find my tea strainer. It must be in the other room. Back in a second. Okay, we're resorting to backup strainer. Anyway, so why do people keep jumping to conclusions? If you're not trying to understand what I'm saying, oh my God. Anyway, folks. So everything kind of is a mixed bag ultimately in reality, right? When you evaluate it in human terms. On the one hand, it's really nice that I did these YouTube lectures, even going way back to 2014, where I was talking about how nice it would be to make a language and what properties it should have. And that motivated other people to do stuff. And then, but it turned weird because some of those people wanted to compete with me on the thing that I was doing, which again, that's fair. That's like a good human impulse or something, right? But like, there's different kinds of competition. There's competition where you say, oh, I have a different idea than this person has. And I think my whole general different idea is different, is better because it's different. That I wouldn't mind at all, right? That's totally cool. That's like how things get better, right? But then there's this other one that's like, I'm just going to copy what this dude is doing and I'm going to claim it's different, but I'm just going to like change little things and then compete. and that's not cool. That's just gross. You know what I'm saying? And there's been a little too much of the gross version for my taste. I don't like it. Now, to be fair, we're a little bit past the heyday of that as well. That's sort of something that was happening more a couple years ago or something, but it's still gross. I don't like it. I don't like how it went down. And again, there's more to this than people know. There's some stuff that happened privately as well. And it just really it made me unhappy. It made me very unhappy. And so my goal is how do I make a life where I'm happy doing the things that I'm interested in doing? And that involved me withdrawing from so much public presentation of what is happening, because the results, this is for people complaining that I don't do demos. Here's the very short way to explain it. I did public presentations. There are a substantial amount of extra work, right, to present these ideas in addition to working on the compiler, right? So they cost me something to do. The aggregate result of these things made me more unhappy than happy due to people's responses. And so I stopped doing them. It's very easy to understand, actually, when you put it in those terms. So what do you want from me, right? Like, and again, it's all this gross social stuff. It's the same reason why I'm taking so long to open source the thing. I mean, part of it is because I want to get the engineering right before it gets spoiled. But part of it is just because internet socialness is gross. And like, I don't want to deal with any of that stuff. Golden Monkey Tea is very good though. But you know what I'm saying? Like, all this like open source, everybody thinking they're entitled to everything, and like having severe Dunning-Kruger and telling you how everything you did is wrong, when like, you know, somebody who the longest program they've ever written is like 6,000 lines of copy pasta over and over again is telling you that you don't understand how to program. It's like, it's hard to put up with. But I get it also because I've been that guy in the past. So I understand why things are that way, and it doesn't mean that that guy is going to be that guy forever, but I don't want to talk to 10,000 of that guy. You know? It's just like, Yeah, and so the way that we're doing this is, you know, people who show up to these streams a lot and stuff get to see what we're working on and kind of what the features are. And then people who are in the beta get to really know what the features are. And honestly, there's enough people in the beta now. There's over 200 people. It's not like we could keep secrets about what's in the language. That's just not practical. And I also don't wish to prevent beta people from streaming or talking about anything they do or whatever. So it's not like there are trade secrets or anything, but it's like there's just like, how much am I going to cooperate with people who want to mistreat me, basically, is what it comes down to. And the answer is I'm not going to. So that's just what's going on. That's all. Like, everybody on the internet who's even slightly technical has just an incredibly weird snobby attitude that is undeserved, since almost nobody even understands how computers work anymore, right? It's crazy. And I hate all of that at this point. I just really don't enjoy it. will I feel different when I release and then the same things probably happen anyway? Yeah, but that's different. Like I don't have to have them happen the whole time. I can have them all happen in one lump sum and then ignore it in one lump sum or something. Anyway, you like the demos because they were a highlight. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, so like I said, a lot of this stuff went down a couple of years ago, and maybe we'll get to a point where I feel different about it and don't mind doing demos again. Vaguely in mind, I've had the idea that, hey, we could do a demo when we do like the more open beta or something, because that would make sense. It's like, here's a big demo showing all the cool stuff about the language. The thing is, that would be like 4 or 5 hours to go through all these things. It would be a big demo. But yeah. What obligation to release it do I have? None. That is true. But I want to release it because that's why I'm doing all this work. I'm doing all this work because I want people to be able to use the language if they want to. This tea is really good. Yeah, we could do another beta Q&A stream like we did. We haven't done one of those in a long time. And the beta is much bigger, and there's a bunch of people who are relatively new. Maybe I'll do one of those this week. We need to recompout. That's not good. We don't recompout things. Recompout. Okay. So I was in the middle of typing this loop, which is really gross, but we could formalize into a thing that actually happens. I'm not even sure if this is guaranteed, but okay. And then oh, actually, okay. So this is probably going to go horribly wrong at some point, but we're just doing sort of what's the base logic. Okay, so what happened? I have wrong brace. I have wrong braces. This one. Yeah. Yeah. Unknown expression in type inference. What? How's... Oh, because it's a block, right? Yeah, let's get rid of that. Okay, so... Maybe we just shouldn't frickin' push those. I don't know. Oh, this is going to be bad because... Oh, fuck. There's more that we have to copy. At which point it starts getting complicated enough that it starts looking like a bad way to do it. This is where I do wish we were self-hosting, because in the new language, this would be so easy. Like, we have to maintain this block stack here. Because otherwise inference can't happen correctly. And like, I kind of don't... Where do we even push these? Yeah. I don't like this. The rest of the world can rip the benefits when the right time finally comes. I mean, I talked to some friends about this last week, and that was what they said. Or they said, you know, even if nobody else in the world uses it at scale, it's still, you get personal satisfaction from it. And I agree with that. I also have an agenda of improving programming, and this is my best way of knowing how to do it. And so, yeah. What do I say would be open to public first, game or compiler? I don't know. We're not, you know, I'm not tying one to the other in any way. It's just whichever comes out first. Because tying them together or trying to force one to come out first is just a way of delaying the other one, right? We just want everything to be done as soon as it can be. Okay. Yeah, I mean, basically in the closed beta right now, I just decide who gets in and how do I do that? It's pretty simple. I just say, is this likely to be a person who's a relatively advanced programmer? Like they're not going to be writing Hello World. And are they probably actually going to use it and probably actually going to, you know, put it through its paces and help actually test it and engage in the community and, you know, help people think about how to make things in this language, right? Basically, I don't want to add a bunch of people who like want to be on the beta for prestige and like don't really use it. And I don't want to add a bunch of people who like don't really know how to program. That's the decision-making process. Are there any issues stopping this from being self-hosted? It's just a lot of work. You basically have to push pause on compiler development and translate the whole compiler to the new thing, which takes a while. Like, if I just jammed, like hauled ass on that, it might take 3 months, during which no other progress on the compiler can happen. And I don't get to work on any other projects during that 3 months. And then maybe you have some issues, like because it's not a mature programming language, maybe the compiler got slower. Well, speed is one of our deliverables, right? And so it's inconvenient. At this point, I wouldn't mind doing it, honestly. because I wouldn't mind not being in C++ anymore. But it would take some doing. That said, you could do it piece by piece. You could do like the lexer and the parser first, and then sort of go through the rest of it. The thing is, if we start that process now, and then we keep working on the compiler in C++, then you have to go back and like merge all the changes, and that's a disaster because you can't, like, I don't know. Like really the only good way to do it is to pause all compiler development and convert it over. If you emailed for beta access and didn't get a response, yeah, it's probably because I didn't like your email. Is there any chance a second reworded email would help? Yeah, probably, but who knows? It might also just be annoying. So I don't know what to say. The thing you guys got to understand about all of this, right? So part of the operating thesis behind this project is a smaller number of people can do higher quality work, all other things considered, right? Now, the problem is because we're on a limited budget with this and limited time because of the other projects, it's like we have way too small a number of people. Like the compiler team probably should be, let's say 4 full-time people right now. Like, because if you expand it too big, I don't know how to manage the contributions without quality potentially dropping. But like if we knew the right 4 people to have on the compiler, that's probably about how big it could be. But it's not that big right now. Right now there's 1.5 people working on the compiler, right? There's me, and then there's somebody working on it part-time. So it's just, you know, when you're understaffed like that, you just have to do things in a certain way. You just have to like not spend a lot of time on, you know, stuff that isn't making it better. Yeah, no, Raphael was in chat earlier. He may still be there. He's working on the compiler about halftime or something like that. And that's, you know, that's our current compiler team. The job posting that we were going to post this today, but I think I want to think about it a little more, you know, has another compiler job slot on it. So we are looking to hire for the compiler. In fact, I could do a little Twitter thread today or something about that, short of this video, because that's easier. Is he working the other half on a game project? I mean, I don't know. He's working on the stuff he's interested in. I don't know what all his projects are, actually. He has a few, last I heard. So, yeah. So the upside of doing a lot with a few people is the code doesn't bloat, and it doesn't become, like right now, if I had assigned to somebody to fix this problem who wasn't as picky about all this stuff as me, they probably would have solved it already, but or no, because the solution is complicated, but they would have made the compiler more complicated, and it wouldn't have necessarily been good. Like, I am sitting here agonizing about the solution to this one bug because I know that this is actually kind of important how this gets solved. All right, we're just going to do the block thing. This is going to be horrible. Okay. I'm just going to do this. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit wrong now, but it was a block colon. We pop the block. Oh my God, this is gross. Okay. Oh, that's inside the while. So where do we pop? Down there. Hey, we did all that and it still says unresolved polymorphism due to a compiler bug. Bro. Bro, what? All right. All right. Let's just see. Let's just see what even happens. All right. Stack count before 4, 5. Oh, right, because this... Okay. After we do this, then we need to do... this. Hey, we got the error message. Okay. This was unpleasant. It does, okay, it does ship a solution to the people. In both cases, earlier, like before we got on to internet drama, I was talking about how the previous solution I was going to do only solved it for one case, but not really the other case. This solves it for both cases. It does create this giant, gross, disgusting thing in here. And I'm going to have to like... I'm going to have to do some... We're going to spend a little bit of time praying for our sins. But I actually like this solution better than the other ones for now. We are going to have to pray for our sins, though. Oh, my God. This is like the worst thing ever. In some sense, it's the worst thing ever. In our language, we could just do this and it would be fine. We would do it in a cleaner way. But I am happy to report that I am drinking a delicious golden monkey tea. By the way, guys, I was complaining before about internet drama, but I'm glad you all are here hanging out while we program, because that's nice. And we're making good things. And we literally just shipped a value. Well, we haven't shipped it, but we literally just pre-delivered a value to the people. Let's make sure we didn't break the rest of the compiler. Big view count. Yeah, what happened? Did we get raided again? What happened? Or did people just show up? Did people show up because I was complaining about the internet, so the whole internet showed up? Europe time. Yeah, you know, weekends, this is has always been our best streaming time, is weekends around this time. It was the terrible music. Why did the music even stop? I didn't stop it. It just, look, it's just paused right at the end of the song. because that's software today. I was just letting it go. It even thinks it's playing. It's like, hey, you could pause this. You know what I'm saying? What? Okay, next doesn't work. Software. Software. Okay, let's restart Soundtrack by Twitch. It just couldn't handle the 8,000 BPM. The over 9,000 BPM. All right. Here we are. We're going to make some more Golden Monkey. Okay, I'm actually happy that we got a solution to this. I am not happy with the specific solution, but it's okay. It's okay. I am happy that we got this bug. I will send the reply to the person, and then we'll go pray for our sins by commenting all these things. There's another reason why I actually don't mind this. So this structure that I copied, this is like a simplified cut down structure of what is essentially the main type inference loop in the compiler. And it is the loop that got slower when I did the thing that I thought was really smart. And part of the question is it slow because of what's here, or is it slow because of the fundamental action of the way this stack works? I'm not sure about the answer to that. Anyway, though, like, it's possible that I'm doing something real dumb. And so I'm kind of meditating on the loop by copying it out. Because, like, the original one has all this debug stuff in it. And, like, it's longer. And it's just harder for my brain to see what's happening. So, like, you know how your subconscious is like a big part of puzzle solving, and you go to bed and you wake up and you go, oh, whatever. This is like a really bad puzzle full of a bunch of irrelevant things. And this is like closer to the good puzzle. And so maybe if I look at this one for a little bit, I'll understand better what to do. Have I tried any Japanese tea? A little bit. I am not an expert in Japanese tea by any means. I am much more familiar with Chinese tea and then the Western teas that come from Chinese tea, right? I like a good Genmai cha. I like a good Gyokuro. For the most part, though, I drink a lot more Chinese tea than Japanese tea. Where do I order my Golden Monkey? I get it off Amazon, and I'll show you what, because the package doesn't have any English on it, but it's, okay, this is the Golden Monkey that I've had that's good. There may be a better one, right? There's lots of Golden Monkeys on Amazon, but this is the one that I get. It's just got this looking package. Oh, it says Chinese tea gift on it, and Chinese tea up here with the circle. This is really delicious, though. I've had like 3 packs of it. I'm on the 3rd pack. You just have to make sure, because this has like a little zipper pouch at the top, but like it doesn't, it's very hard to keep it zipped correctly, I find. So I put mine in like a different, I have one of these like airtight glass container things that I keep the tea in. And that works better for me. Don't dox myself. I don't know. Is there anything bad here on the screen? You can tell where I live. You can tell my zip code. This is a very good zip code, by the way. I like living in 33701. Any thoughts on the agile? I've never done it. We don't do stuff like that. We have sort of our own process, and it's very lightweight, and we just rely on people being willing to do a lot of work or to work independently, you know? Can see what I'm ordering. Those are old orders that I'm not actually... Those are, let me see, are those my, yeah, I don't know. Like I tried to do Amazon Fresh at one point and they wouldn't, somehow they couldn't deliver a bunch of stuff or whatever. And now it just stays in the cart there forever. And there's no way to get rid of it. Like, I don't even know what's going on. A full build takes 8 hours. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So let me heat up some more water for another golden monkey tea. I'm splurging. I'm not even going to re-steep the same leaves. I'm going to go. And then we're going to explain why we're doing this in the comments and about how we are evil. And then we're going to check it in. But before that, I'm sending an email to the person. This is fixed in the next beta. The $ doesn't have to be illegal, actually. I was wrong about that. At least I think so. Oh, and I'm going to meet a friend in San Francisco tomorrow and do a work day. So that's nice. Eight hours of paid nap time. Yeah, I just, you know, even early in my game industry career, in like 2002, I was working on a game that we will not mention what game it was. It was Deus Ex 2. It was Deus Ex Invisible War. I was working on that game, and oh my God, it took 45 minutes to do anything. Because it was the Unreal Engine of the time, and it was just really slow to compile, and like, holy shit, dude. It was so slow and painful. This wasn't the good Deus Ex. This was the one that suffered from certain decisions that happened. I didn't do any design on that. I did a very small amount of programming. Yeah, I worked, I was a contractor at Ion Storm Austin for like less than a year. It was just at this time in life when I was trying to figure out what to do. And I had some friends who were on that project, so I was like, oh, I'll just go work on it for a bit. How did I like contractual work? It's actually not a bad way to work. Like, this is the funny, ironic thing is everybody's pushing for like, we want to be unionized and all this stuff, right? Um, but that's not actually like the high class way to be in the games industry is to be an independent contractor who gets paid a high hourly rate. Um, and the thing is, I would be much better at that now because like I understand a lot more practical things about how to work with people. Like I was kind of bad at certain dimensions of being a contractor, honestly. I was good at being a good programmer. I was bad at other things. Um, and so, but it worked. It's how I made the money that I needed to work on Braid, for example, as I saved up from being a contractor. But like you don't, if you want to really do well in an industry, you don't want to be like a unionized employee is kind of the floor in some sense, right? You don't want to be like at the floor. So like people aspiring to that, it just, I don't know, man. It's the wrong way to think. Unless you believe that you have no special skills or really special contribution to make, which maybe some people think that. Contracting also means you never get to finish anything because they pull you as soon as it barely works because you're so expensive. That can be true as well, yes. And also, like, you're just not part of the main team when you're a contractor, and that's just a social thing and I don't know. Like, if you're one of these people who derives identity from social cohesion with a team, then being a contractor doesn't work so well, right? What is a good hourly rate for game development contractors? Wow, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what people charge these days. The thing you have to keep in mind is I used to do this back in 2002 when when like certain kinds of inflation hadn't happened yet. So prices would naturally be higher now than what I'm used to thinking of them as. What did it take for the mind shift to happen into a people person? I wouldn't say it's exactly about being a people person. It's just more about like, because I've run a company and been on the other side. And so like, I know how to integrate with that process. I know what a person running a company is thinking about and what they're trying to do and what they want. And I just understand the long-term arc of how projects go better. Did I budget that I would have to work X years contracting to support Y years of Braid? No. And in fact, I ran out of money in the middle of Braid and did more contracting. And that wasn't good, actually. I mean, I didn't know how long it was going to take to make the game. I thought maybe I would try doing it in a year. And I had a game after a year, but then I continued for 2.5 more years making it better. Yeah. What's the required qualification for contract work? You imagine it's higher than for being hired. It's a little bit higher, but there's actually a different skill. So like the important skill that you need to have is the ability to like hit the ground running and make a contribution without having to be trained up. Right? Because if you're a contractor, they're hiring you for a relatively short-term thing, so you can't take 3 months to learn the code base or whatever. You could take like 3 days to learn the code base and then you have to be going. So there's that. And then of course, the better you are, the more specialized knowledge you have, the better, right? The more that you could charge people. Sokoban uses OpenGL right this second, but we are in the middle of getting the DX12 backend running well. It is. We have someone who's relatively new on the team, whose main job right now is converting the backend to DirectX 12, and he has that to the point where you could kind of run the game, but like, you know, the shaders are wrong and not all the features work, right? So we're just in the process of getting that, and then we'll be switched off OpenGL permanently, which will be great. Did I ever think about working at RAD? A little bit. It's just, I always was kind of doing my own thing. And, you know, like Mitch was talking about hiring me at one point. And I was just like, I don't know, I was working on my stuff. This was probably while I was working on Braid or something, right? So, it's like, do I stop working on Braid and work at RAD? Well, I think it was the right choice to stay on my own game. How did RAD collect such a high density of strong programmers? I don't know, man. I think Jeff maybe just puts a lot of time into finding people. Or also, there is kind of a snowball effect where if you hire programmers who hang out in places where they see other really good programmers, then you kind of get things that way. Do we use an intermediate shading language? We do. I would rather not, but like the other option is to just write all the shaders all the times, and that's not very good. So we literally just have our own shading language that isn't really any different. It's kind of like GLSL or HLSL, but just a little different, not in any meaningful or important way. And then we just transcode from that. And I wish we didn't have to, but it is what it is. Are we going for DX12 over Vulkan? I mean, we'll probably do both eventually. It was just priority. It's just like, look, Windows is our main development environment. So if we want it to be good for us first, what backend do we do? Okay, well, DX12 is kind of the native Windows low-level API. So that was the nature of that decision. We'll probably do Vulkan. We'll probably do other stuff. How did I find the music that I wanted to use for Braid? There is extensive commentary on that in Braid Anniversary Edition, which will come out in the year 2045. No troll, though. There is extensive commentary on that in Braid Anniversary Edition. You plan to port the compiler for consoles. So in general, on consoles, you run the compiler on Windows. So for both PlayStation and Xbox, and I think Nintendo, I haven't done Nintendo development in a really long time, but in general, you work on Windows and then cross-compile for the console. And our plan is to release games on consoles, and so you can figure out what that means. We are not making a console. Are there real advantages of keeping the console APIs secret? I don't really think there are, except like it probably helps reverse engineer people a little bit if they have official documentation, right? And they don't want people to reverse engineer the stuff. I don't know. You could ask them. In general, though, they are very serious about security and where they draw the line of what information they want to release or whatnot. I'm sure they have reasoning for that you may or may not agree with, but I do not know the details of the reasoning. Do I plan to use a transpiler for that? No. However, when it comes to matters of working on consoles, I can't really tell you details because it very easily could interfere with our NDAs with those platform holders. And so it's just not a good place to go when talking about the details of what we are doing. It's pretty easy to get a developer account. I don't know, is it? If you're like a random dude, can you get a Sony or Nintendo developer account? Or do you have to at least prove to them that you have a project? Could I say why Braid Anniversary Edition was delayed? It's just that I want to do a good job on the commentary, and I've just got a lot of other projects. And, you know, I've just spent a lot of time on the other projects, and you could imagine me having skewed my time so that it was more on Braid Anniversary Edition, but I didn't. So it is what it is. It's late. It'll come out. Like, we've never released anything on time, so it's not a surprise that it's late, I guess. But I do want to get it out. Okay. So let us discuss. But we could formalize it as typer infer types. Okay. It does type checking for bakes by pushing the type instantiations on the stack, then yielding, we need to infer those, then redo the make polymorph star when they are done, re-enter. I thought about doing this in the general way that yielding happens throughout the type checker, but there are two callers, but all callers would also have to have been made reentrant. There are two callers, and for one, it would not have been a big deal, but one caller was in explain and really would have been a mess to make reentrant and may have made that part of the compiler much less reliable, and that is bad. Okay, so we presume that since we are just type checking some type inst, we don't need to yield here, but maybe this is wrong, I'm not sure. If call internal compiler error while type checking bakes from this call we ran into a queued that was not inferred. We don't know how to handle this currently. Break. Okay. And then here, if we yielded from infer types in a place we did not expect to need, and that we don't know how to handle. Sorry. Please report this as a compiler bug. Sorry. Sorry. We're just bad at programming. Sorry. Sorry. Internal compiler error. After type checking bakes from this call, we tried to proceed in the call and yielded again. The code does not currently handle this. Please report this as a compiler bug. Sorry. Okay. All right, so let's remove this now, because we didn't solve it this way ultimately. And then let's get rid of this error report phase. Remember that? And get rid of that. And then we got to do this. fixed an internal compiler error when reporting a type mismatch on polymorphed procedures with bakes. That's value. This is value for the people. The value is overwhelming. I wouldn't say that. I mean, some of these previous ones had more overwhelming value. This one was huge, although it's a lot about modules. This one was frickin' nutballs. The 9th of May. Okay. Obsolete. That's just a word you don't know. You just need to expand your vocabulary. All right. Let's make sure these internal compiler errors do not fire. Let's make a release compiler over here. Am I happy with the bounty program? Yeah, it's been good so far. I kind of ultimately, if we have the compiler team bigger again, it would be nice to have somebody else manage the interactions. Because just talking back and forth and deciding the bounties are done and giving them out, it takes a little bit more effort than I would like. It's still fine. It's still a net win in that it takes substantially less time to do that than to actually do the work myself, right? So it's working pretty well. Okay, this all works. Let's build the game in x64. Boom. Bounty for what? Just for miscellaneous things. Not really compiler bugs because people don't have compiler source, but things like, hey, we want to rewrite this module to be better or whatever, right? That's a bug. How about a bounty for please write a good Sokoban game that people will enjoy? Okay. Well, this is good. The question is, do we stop the stream now? I don't think so, because we're at our peak viewership, and the people probably want content, right? Quote, content, unquote. All right. So, yeah, we can take that assertion out. All right. So, there we go. We will do our check-in. Boom. Okay, I think I maybe look for another little bug report. Okay. Hash table debug symbols bug. Let's do text input move by word pull request. Oh, there's a few things piling up. Let's do this one. Okay, so what's going on here is okay, so if we go to GetRect, this is going to be in text input. So widgets, text input. So he said arrow left, arrow right. Move cursor left by word, state event.shift pressed. Return. Wait, why are we returning? What? Why are we returning? What happens if we return? I guess that's just an early out. I guess it's so that we don't go here. Okay. Okay, so move cursor left, move cursor right. So then he gave me this text input code. Okay. Let's take a look at that. Actually, let's rename the buffer. Okay. So, seek left one word. Seek right one word. All right. I need to ask I'm gonna need to ask him to confirm cool. I will put this in for the next beta, but I need you to confirm that you are okay releasing this code under the MIT license. So I just require, any code contributions to be MIT licensed. This guy's a guy in the beta who's cool, so I'm gonna check this in. But if he doesn't agree to that, I'm going to have to roll it back later, right? That's all. Okay, so move cursor left by word. Move cursor right by word. Okay. I mean, this all looks pretty reasonable. It's very vanilla, boring code. We like to see that. We like to see that. Okay. So, let's go to... GetRect examples. We'll compile the example. Oops. $2,000? No, it's 200. No, it's 200 people in the beta. We're not growing the beta that fast. Okay, wait, what was that? We're like 1 frame late on something. That was weird. Okay, anyway. So, Shift, Control. Hey, look, we're skipping by words. Control Shift. See, when people say, oh my God, you could never duplicate all the functionality that the operating system gives you in all the complicated text input code, or it's like, no, it's not true. In fact, you can do quite a better job than they do if you put your mind to it. Okay. Especially these days, now that code is all just decaying and sad. Wasn't that like 40 lines of code for move by word? I mean, it's those two functions, right? It's this and this, right? This. So now let's review this to see if we could make it shorter. But, you know, it's this and this. You could imagine having a Boolean about left or right to like compact these together. But like we didn't do that for beginning end. You could imagine just having an enum. You could imagine having all these be one function, and then you have an enum about what's this line in the middle. It's just, is it worth it for a 4-line frickin' function? It kind of would come out the same length, you know. Is including the white space before dimwit intended? Or should it highlight the white space? I don't actually know what... I never use this, so I don't know what the behavior should be. You could imagine either way. You could imagine it's like, oh, you just want to highlight the word or whatever. Or you could imagine it's literally everything from the cursor. Now, the thing you have to keep in mind is you might have already had selection before you did the word navigate, right? So maybe it's like, if you already have selection, then keep it and add. Otherwise, trim the spaces. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe. You would do the enum version, maybe. Control jump usually treats the white space as one jump and then the word as the next. Oh. So then this code doesn't quite do the right thing. Let's see. What if we do Notepad? And we put some code in Notepad, right? And then we say Control right arrow, yes. Oh, but then it okay. So right arrow basically goes to the beginning. Okay, this is weird because it's like, all right. Examples, beta key. Okay, this is more like words and stuff, right? So if we put words in WordPad, okay. So it takes you to the beginning of the next or the prior word. And so if you start on a space, it's taking us to the beginning of the next word, right? Now, if we go shift space and then we go control, yeah, okay, that's the same. And now if we don't do it and we go control shift. Yeah, okay. So the selection is doing exactly what you would expect given the rest of the rules. If you're going to jump over white space, it jumps over that and the word after it. No, that's not what this does. This just jumps over the white space only. Is there a different editor that does a different job? So, okay, there's one question is there a standard for this on Windows? And then if there is, do we want to copy that? Do we want to let you set on the theme what the behavior is here, right? Like, I don't exactly know. Like, does Linux do a different thing? Okay, so wait, is what we do different from that? Like, okay. So this is jumping to the ends of words instead of the beginning of words. That seems weird and wrong. Or it seems different. I don't know about weird and wrong. This is going to the end of the next word. Visual Studio Code jumps to end, beginning, depending on the direction. Linux jumps to start of words. So this is the Visual Studio Code behavior. So what we're saying is the person who submitted this is a Visual Studio Code fanboy. You know, I'm fine with, if some programs do it this way that are popular, I'm fine with leaving it this way for now. I'll make a note. Note, these routines jump to the end of the current word going right or the beginning going left, which is the behavior adopted by some programs, but the older Windows standard, and maybe on Linux too, since Linux just copies Windows about these things, is to jump to the beginning of the next word to the right, similarly to the left, and there is something. You can see this using a notepad, and there are rules about punctuation that are weird. If we want more than one behavior, we could put it into the text input theme. We could specify which the user wants via the text input theme. Okay, we'll leave it for now. If people complain, we can make it nicer. It's no big deal. Why are we doing underscore point? This is, okay. I understand why this was done, but it's not necessary. Right? Oh, wait. I see. There we go. So while we're in the string, we get the character. So we're just looking, once we've seen a space, we stop after the next space is what it does, right? So, like if you're in the middle of a word, you want to find space and then whatever. And we could obviously elaborate this by adding tabs and whatnot. Let's just do this. So, like, these are basically the same function, right? It's just like if we make them handle more gnarly Unicode, do they get more? Like, literally, it's this is different, and this is different. It's like this feels right on the edge of when we should put these things together. Most text editors don't look for spaces at all. They look for boundaries between alphanumeric and non-alphanumeric. Well, that didn't seem to be true for Notepad because it skipped us into the middle of punctuation, for example. Oh, the while loop condition is different. Yeah. Anyway, we could factor all that. It's just you make a little bit of a mess anytime you factor functions like that, and they become a little harder to understand, right? And so there's some point at which it's the wrong thing to do. Anyway, we'll ship this value to the people. We'll see what the people say about it. Okay. Sublime lets you decide the delimiters for alt arrow in the settings. Notepad is not authoritative. Well, yeah. Factored version would take like 3 control arguments. No, it would just be 1. There would just be the argument of, are you going forward or backward? And that can be static. So you could static if all this stuff, right? You would static if this versus this. And then you would static if this. And that's in a while loop. You kind of can't static if around this one line. That doesn't work. So we would like insert the condition as code, which is gross. And you could just have this be a variable, like a delta variable or something that's defined as a constant. And so you wouldn't have to have an extra if here, although that's not much cleaner. And it makes it a little harder to understand. And then like you would basically have 3 to 4 static ifs, but only 1 parameter. Yeah, it's just, I'm just not thrilled about the amount of mess for the amount of code that's here, right? Like, let me just show you what it would be, and then we'll frickin' delete it, right? Right, it would be like, I'm gonna capitalize this. If not going left, we are going right. Okay, so we're gonna go like, if going left, we do this, right? Else, we do this. Let's put this way. We do this, right? And then we could say delta is minus 1, or delta is 1, right? And then point plus equals delta, which may actually make it a little slower. Hopefully not, because we see that this is constant. So it shouldn't matter. Okay, this actually fucking is different. Like, okay, we can do a gross thing here. Like if we're going left, we add 1, otherwise not. That's gross. And then condition, loop condition. This is so gross. Like, okay, the loop condition in seek left is going to be point is greater than 0. Loop condition down here is point is less than s dot count. All right, and then return expression, I don't know, is code 0. S dot count, right? So like, what the actual fuck? So when you come along later, when you come on later and try to understand this, on the one hand, this part is kind of easy to understand, but then like you're looking at all this and you kind of have to mentally Tetris these down into there. It's like, it's not really a win. And it's actually more code, right? Like if you look at all this, this is, okay, let's actually count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines counting code brace times 2, 24. It's the longest function you can write. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So it is 2 lines shorter than doing the ones out, right? This is why, and this is a phenomenon that happens in every programming language different ways. It's like when you try to refactor things to generalize, that just becomes a good idea at a certain size of procedure, and that size is a little bit bigger than this, right? So copy pasta is fine here, honestly. This is simple and I get it, and this is like, it just takes more brain glucose to figure this out. And this may not even be right. We haven't tried to compile it. We're not going to. Now, that said, if we had 5 copies of this same function, I probably would do it that way, right? Like at some point, or if this function were even 3 lines longer, where all 3 of those lines are in common, it just becomes more worth. Anyway, that is maybe there is also a smarter way to combine them, but that's what came to my mind as I was just thinking about it. Okay, have we even compiled? I don't think we have, since this is space. So what happens if I even put a tab in here? I think we ignore it. But you can imagine there being a tab. Okay, good enough for now. We'll see what the people say. Okay. I kind of want breakfast, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go get a snack while people are watching the tests run. Any other questions about what we just did, by the way? Questions? Hey, that passed just fine. I said snack, and what I meant was meal replacement shake, because that's where we are at for breakfast today. I passed up the half a cake that I still have in the fridge left over from the Counter-Strike tournament. Bug snacks, no. No. That kind of stuff should be in lectures. Yeah, it totally should. Totally should. It's talking about code complexity and refactoring and whatever, yeah. Did I finish up that puzzle game? I don't know which puzzle game you mean. There have been a few. Guest lectures at Starcode Galaxy? I mean, I think we need the Casey lectures from Starcode Galaxy first. Maybe that could be one of the metrics from Codex information. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's interesting. You could run a code similarity metric on these two functions and say, they look kind of the same to me. The one with shapes. Jelly is sticky. That's the most recent game that we've been playing. Okay. The previous one inspired by Miss the Witness, etc. Oh, no, I haven't gone back to that. Platonic, yes, that's what that was. That was what it was. No, we still have not solved Platonic. Okay. Let's see what else. LLVM disable red zone. Let's even look at this. I might need to pass this off to Raphael or something. So I doubt that we talk about red zone at all. Because what does LLVM know about PUBG? -M no red zone. See, I want the actual API. All right. Can I search for red zone? Red zone. No red zone. This attribute indicates that the code generator should not use a red zone even if the target specific API normally permits it. So I guess we could put this in build options as a global build option, although it really is kind of a function specific thing. Okay, how do we set these? I'm sure we set, yeah, we set things like always inline and whatever. Okay. So we're going to if something, we're going to say add fun adder we're just going to try to guess that it's no red zone, or that's probably not how it's capitalized. I don't know. We have to guess because the documentation is like not good. No red zone. All right, well, can we go to definition of this? Get attribute names. Oh, God. I do this like once in our compiler, and I hate it, but... All right. Red. No red zone. And then this is the lowercase name because they don't have introspection, so they can't like automatically convert these because C++ sucks. Okay. Boom. Boom. Okay, so let's just try compiling the Sokoban with no red zone. Yeah, everybody hates the red zone in PUBG. So we're getting rid of it. Hey, look, the game runs with no red zone. Okay, so now we want to add a build option. This should really not be an LLVM option. It should be a global option. Is it an x86 or is it does ARM have red zone? The ARM64 red zone consists of the 128 bytes. Yeah. Okay, so this is a cross-platform idea. Let's just say, I mean, this should be a flags field, I guess. I don't like that that's still false. Okay. Okay, and that should be it. We don't use a red zone in our x64 backend. Added build options dot disable red zone. Okay. The amount of value is growing. The amount of value is growing. Now, I'm not actually visually verifying that we are not using red zone, but someone will complain. Someone will complain. We need to run all the tests. Oh wait, that was even... Yeah, release compiler. All right. Okay. iProf and code error. Really? I forgot to check in, but okay, let's hit that. Hold on. I like this song. Let's find out what this is. Of course, it opens it with audio turned on. Okay, add disable red zone to build options. Let's put that in modules compiler. And actually, this is modules compiler as well. Okay, unknown. So type 1, as we saw earlier, the stream is just a block. So like, why do we not import a block? How is that even possible? Okay, so this is a big, giant switch statement that knows about everything. Except block, apparently. Okay. Import block. Statements. Do import result source auto source. Actually, I guess this does this, right? I think we literally just do that. Hey. Okay. Do we know that this works? Sassy. Okay, we're sassy today. Insert C. We're gonna make sure that frickin' works. Okay, it does. Cool. Test regression, insert code block. We fixed like a bunch of bugs today. Well, a few. And yesterday. It's been good for the people. This is fixed in the next beta. Boom. Let's run the tests again. Let's do a debug just in case there's like an assertion or something. Okay. No, debug. Debug, that was the whole point. I used control arrow, which I never use. Right there, because we were thinking about it. How many people so far in the people? I believe it's about 203 people. But again, not all those people are going to be like active, right? There are 203 people on the list. We're about to add another 5 today, maybe. Can I explain how asserts work? I mean, asserts are a very common programming tool. It's just, it kills your program if the condition is not true. And you use that to make sure that your idea of what the invariants in the code are is actually being maintained. They're really a thing for debug mode programs. You don't really want to ship them in release build because you don't ever want an end user to see an assert. Are you people? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know everybody's Twitch alias. If you're the people, you know you're the people, and if you're not the people, then who knows? Do we cut asserts out in release? I mean, our default assert we do, but like you could make your own that is a release assert or whatever, right? Actually, so when we're working on the game, we tend to, actually in the witness, we had 2 levels of assert. We had asserts that stay in release build and ones that don't. Because the other thing about assert is it has a performance cost because you're running this evaluation of this condition in this if statement all the time. And if that's in a tight loop somewhere, that costs something for debug build, right? Which is another reason why you want it out for release. Yeah, okay, what did we even just fix? I don't even know anymore. Ah, yes. Okay. Let's close this. Let's close some of these. Fixed. What was it? Unhandled. Expression type in message importer for some instances of code. Commit. Boom. Boom. Awesome. Okay. I might get more water for tea or something. And then we can go on to, well, let's introduce another thing to attack. Probably pretty early. I'm talking to my friend about workday tomorrow on East Coast time. Okay. Curl HTTP request. Okay, that's a different thing. It's not a bug report. No padding. SIMD code crashes in release. Oh, this is an old frickin' one. I didn't even realize that this was still floating around. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is not good. This is not good. Okay. Let's see what happens. Okay. Where is this message happening? End of main. Okay. I'm just going to reply to this. Hi, sorry this bug report went unresponded for a while. I did get kind of snowed under for a bit. Running with release now, I do not get a crash, but we did fix all kinds of things in last beta and this one regarding C calls and a little bit with ASM. So let me know if somehow you are still seeing the problem, but I do not with the current compiler that I am releasing to the people today. Running an x64. Yeah, it works in both. All right, so I'm at least glad that bug report was 6 weeks ago was the last time I'd replied to it. That's a little long. Okay. How long till my flight? It's at 7 p.m. You know, I could stream for maybe another hour or something, and then I should think about packing and whatnot. Yeah, it is definitely the case that one of the philosophies in this language is that you should feel free to implement your own versions of things, and it shouldn't be second class to what we provide. Like, you should be able to replace the entire runtime, you know, like our equivalent of printf and all that stuff, and we don't care, and we're happy if you want to do that, right? And designing for that is just a little bit different from what people are used to. So many chess sites get how the pawns move wrong. What's wrong with... Pawn moves are pretty simple. I mean, en passant is the only complication, right? Or am I not thinking of something? And like, en passant almost never gets used in any real chess game, right? It's just the threat of the move is what matters. People get confused with en passant. Oh, I see. So you mean the chess program does it correctly, but then people get their piece taken and they're like, there's a bug. The pawn went sideways. Yeah, okay. People who don't know chess. When you get a piece taken en passant, you need to have a little clippy that comes up in the corner to explain it. All right, I'm going to get more water for the tea. I'll be back in a second. Any more questions about what we've been doing? are back with more advanced tea water. Boom. I just remembered there's more stuff I gotta do before I get on the plane. I am getting out a piece of notebook paper and I'm writing down the things. I'm writing this. I'm writing this. I'm writing this. Okay, let's see about that. My theories on why SIMD instruction is crashing in release. It's not. It's just Ryan fixed a bunch of stuff a couple betas ago with assembly. Do I encounter the LeetCode style problems in my day-to-day development? I can't say I know what LeetCode style problems are because I don't use that site, but I doubt it. I doubt it. I guess I'm not lead enough to do LeetCode. Okay. Got your LeetCode right here, buddy. Bucko, pal. Okay. Fix expression highlighting case. Yeah, that's another thing I want to think about more. Hash table debug symbols. When there are multiple tables instances. You know what I want to do before I fix any more bugs? I want to get out the Linux version and make sure that we are prepared to deliver value to the people. Like if there's some Linux problem that prevents me from getting on the plane, I'll be bummed. I mean, nothing would prevent me from getting on the plane. It would just be we deliver value to the people later. But I would like to have it figured out, if you know what I mean. Okay. I'm going to go to the Ubuntu. Okay. I'm gonna compile the compiler. Sorry you guys can't see this. It's just on this other laptop. Last time we tried screen sharing from Ubuntu, it was a disaster. What's it like when we do a work day? Do we just hang out and chat? Yeah, basically. We go to a cafe and like chill and say what's up, how's it going, and program and whatever. About the 5 new people that will be added, are they already decided? I mean, I'm just going through the new emails that I got. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I am saying? Okay, it compiled. And the tests are running. If they all pass, then we got nothing to worry about. And I can just keep doing things. They all passed. Okay, great. That means we can fire off a beta at any time, Theorem. But first, another golden monkey tea, because it's so good. I wonder if they put crack in this.